Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back for Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, our treasure hunt, and the current prompt is script or quotes or writing or letters, and I've got a whole lot of things to add which also fit in with the found treasures prompt as well, and probably have references to some of the other prompts also, like vintage embroidery. So, I've got a few things in front of me, which we will come to one by one, but I thought we might start out with this little piece over here. So I'll just move the other bits out of the way, give you a bit of a tease with them, and we will get back to them. So this is a little piece that I have started stitching. It was originally a potholder that I found in an op shop in Mallacoota. So Cheerios to my friend Gail from the op shop in Mallacoota, who is a watcher. We exchanged details. Well, I gave her my details and she tracked me down on YouTube, which is lovely. And I think this could have, there's two op shops in town. I think this one came from your op shop. I can't remember for sure. But my mum growing up always had chooks. So we lived in a suburban setting, a pretty big block. And mum always had her chooks, her hens, down the back. I think chooks is particularly an Australian term. And it was funny when I was watching the video of Rachel for this prompt, she referred to her sister, Sarah, as a clever chook. So it's a term of endearment as well. And so when I saw this little piece, this little pot mitt in the op shop, it was just too cute. It had this little patchwork puffy design on it. And even though it was sort of a little bit worn, it wasn't this worn. I've actually started to deconstruct it. It was, fully intact, but I just thought the design was beautiful. And what I've decided to do is I've used split stitch and this beautiful variegated cotton from Wonderfil, Perle cotton number 8, which just has a beautiful brown variegation in it, and I thought it was perfect for chickens. And I've used that to write out la poule, which is the hen in French. And then a little quote from mum. She used to say, "I'm going down to see my girls," which meant she was going down to visit the chooks and give them a feed and check that everything was fine. So I thought we can finish using split stitch to stitch in the chooks. And maybe that's a new term for some of you overseas. I don't know if you call your hens over there chooks. But I wanted to show you, because when I started to unstitch the binding on this particular little pot mitt, I found inside the most amazing vintage fabric as well. And it's really interesting. Looking at this, you can tell it's actually been a very well used little pot mitt, because the calico that was covered by the binding is quite a bit darker than the other calico. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but it's definitely very recognisable to me. And then inside found this lovely vintage fabric. So we probably should finish taking it apart. I thought I'd just leave it to show you, and just never discount something that you sort of find in an op shop, because even if you don't want to use it as a pot mitt, if it's got beautiful handwork on it, it's lovely to give it a second life. So I always look out for pieces that other people have created, or like another piece that we'll be coming to today, pieces that people have started that I can finish off, so they can actually have a conclusion. So I'm just going to take all the binding off, and then I'll just be using a half piece, and then I'll probably keep the other piece as a nice little bit of almost like a vintage quilt, because you find lots of layers in vintage quilts as well. And it could be nice to add to another piece, because it's definitely been nice stitching into this, because it's got that sort of wadding in it, as well as that back layer of fabric. So it's kept it nice and stable. And much easier, stitching words when you're not in the car. The last time I was stitching them was for my poppy piece, which I've got in another video. And yeah, it's obviously a degree more difficulty stitching in the car, but I take all the stitching times that I get. So I figured I wouldn't make you watch the whole process of stitching all the words, because that would probably get a bit boring. So I thought we'd do a few different bits and pieces in today's video. And then I've got another, as well as the pieces that I've got out on the desk, I've got another piece that I definitely want to do, and probably 2 more actually with this prompt. So stay tuned for some more videos if you'd like to see more of these and you're not subscribed. Hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and it will let you know when I post a video. But I just want to get, yeah, lots of my lovely pieces onto the actual blanket, but it's a bit hard doing the stitching onto them on the blanket, so I'll probably work on these off blanket and then do more stitching as I stitch them in and stitch them down. But I'll probably do that off camera because it's easier to kind of get the blanket in a good position. Off camera it's a bit hard on camera. So just removing all the grey stitchy bits, and then I can probably, and you can see, I think you can see there that it's, yeah, a lot darker in the fold of the fabric. So I think I might just cut it across. Hopefully it's pretty much on the green there. So I'll keep this bit for another day and another time. I'll take the brown off it. But that could be nice just to use as a little piece in something. And then with this, I'll need to trim a bit of this off so that it's not poking out. So I'll just take a bit of this off the side. Be careful not to snip my writing. Nor the fabric underneath. I just felt a bit more tension from the scissors, and I was like, oh, better make sure I'm not snipping underneath. So I hope you're all having a great day. It is Sunday here. Travis and I had a most lovely time down the dog park. He found a lovely friend, Henry, to play with, and sun was shining and they were wrestling under the trees on top of me. I sat myself under a tree to keep out of the sun, and they decided they had to come and play cuddles and wrestling on the ground together right on top of me. It's much more fun when you can wrestle on top of your mum. But they were having a lovely time, so that's all that matters. This has a few stitches into it, so I might just need to unpick. I think it's quite fun deconstructing things as well. So I'm going to leave most of the backing. Ooh, almost, I've got to be careful, almost cut my stitchery because I've done some little stitches which I need to finish actually around here as well. But yeah, it was almost my writing stitching that I cut, but it's all okay. And then what I'll probably end up doing is just sort of, fraying up the edges somewhat evenly, although I'm not actually too fussed, and I do like the fact it has that little border around it. And then I've got some ideas of something I want to do up there, so we'll come back to that. Remind me if I forget. I say that as though you're here at my craft table, which I honestly feel like when I'm sitting here, I do imagine you folks here with me. It'd be lovely if you could answer back. I do have to work out how to do, I know you can do live streams, but then you've got to kind of be monitoring the chat. I want to work out how to do a live stream where I can actually, in verbal terms, interact with folks. So that's a mission probably for the new year again. Because I can't believe how rapidly end of year is racing towards us. It is seriously crazy. Oh, the other lovely thing I found, which I just have to show you, was there was even a thread. One of the threads had been sort of left just on the inside. They'd probably finished their last stitch around the outside of the bird and then just fed it into the piece. So yeah, I just love it, and just love this very very vintage fabric, which I think probably ages the piece. Just get rid of these little endy bits, I think. Okay, let's clean off the bench a little bit. So yeah, just using this beautiful Wonderful variegated. I've got a gorgeous set, which I'd actually, again, it was a found treasure because I was cleaning up my threads and I discovered it. Should put this one actually back into the mix. So isn't that just delicious? I think it was. What was it? Oops, I've just knocked them all out. I was seeing if it had its name on it. Oh, it's the Stars collection, in case you're looking for it. The Stars. So yeah, really yummy colours. I do have some others as well that I got before I got this set, but I think I may have got this set for my birthday actually, and I haven't, yeah, this is the first time I'm using something out of it. But it's the perfect colour, I think. So I'll just move you a smidge over, just bear with me for a moment. So for the split stitch, I just do like you would start a running stitch, but then rather than jumping forward, I then come back halfway back into my stitch and continue the next stitch forward. So it creates a really nice little braid-like consistent stitch. And this wonder feels lovely because it does actually change colour quite frequently, which is nice. At the moment the sun's not shining, it will come over this side of the house, so if it does we might have to close the blinds and put the lights on, but at the moment it's just perfect. Actually started out quite cool this morning, but now it is blue skies and sun shining, but I think we're going to go back to cool weather. I was watching Leanne's video and she said, yeah, they had 36-degree day quite recently, and she'd been in the pool, her much lamented pool. You'll have to watch a video to get that reference. And yeah, and then in the video that I just watched, she'd had a scarf on and long sleeves, a bit like me. I've got a skivvy on today, but at the park I was starting to feel quite warm, but inside it's just a good temperature, so I've just left that on, even though it's probably covered in doggy slobber from the wrestling that occurred on top. But it's nice seeing Travis play. Sometimes he goes to the park and just wants to go for a sniff around and kind of, yeah, he's not that into the other dogs to play with, but yeah, his friend, Henry, he was very happy to have a good play. He's a good little playmate for dogs, very, very gentle, very respectful. I taught him when he was younger with little dogs, he just has to let them come up and jump on him, sniff him, etc. With dogs his own size, he can run around and do the wrestling and things like that. In hot weather, he loves nothing more than being in the shade and just laying on the ground and letting the other dogs sort of come over, and then they roll around and wrestle. Play wrestling, WrestleMania. When I get down to the end, I can either just leave it as a stitch like that, or if I wanted to, I can put another little half stitch just over the end bit, but that looks defined enough. I think Rachel was doing her O's and E's as little lazy daisy anchored down stitches, but I'll stick with this method because I like the neatness that it gives the letters. Still definitely handwritten letters. So Mum doesn't have chooks anymore. She got rid of them at one point. Well, I think actually she didn't get rid of the chooks, but eventually they passed away, and so then she didn't get any more. I think there might have at one point been, I don't know if we ever had a fox attack or if someone else in the neighbourhood had one, like urban foxes. Can't remember. She used to love her chooks. We never had roosters though. I don't think you're allowed them in suburbia, but the chooks would just, they weren't noisy. They were just, they'd just cluck away. And we had a park behind our house, so it wasn't like there were neighbours directly impacted, but again, quite big blocks, so. But yeah, it was funny that she called them her girls. Going down to see my girls. So Mum and Dad have happily got over their COVID. Hopefully their one and only round of COVID. And Mum's actually gone down to Rosebud. She likes to go down and camp on the foreshore with my uncle, which is her twin twin brother, and they go fishing, and they do that sort of in the lead up to Christmas. Come back a week or so before Christmas. She'll probably come back in between to check on her garden and things. Dad's looking after the house, but I think she always worries he doesn't look after her little plant babies as well as she could. But apparently they've been having good fishing, caught lots of flathead, which are beautiful, sweet, white-fleshed fish. They have a full setup, even though I say camping, it's like fully powered, and they have a little fridge freezer, so they catch more fish than they can eat, and they clean it straight away, and then freeze it up in little packages. And so I'm lucky enough to benefit from beautiful freshly caught fish that you just don't get sweeter when it's been cleaned so quickly after being caught and sort of snap frozen. It's the sweetest, most lovely. It just tastes of the sea and sweetness. So it sort of spoils you when you then go into fish shops and things, and you can sort of smell, like you should not be able to smell the fish. So I'll be looking forward to some lovely flathead fillets. So I kind of like that this piece has the French on the top and then has a very Australian term of chooks. Well, I'm pretty sure it's an Australianism, a sort of a slang chooks. There is actually another French term for like hen, and it's also used like for like my darling, and kids use it as a sort of a term. But then I looked it up and it also means prostitute. So I thought, I probably won't put that on my stitchery. So... And I think in some other parts, it's also a slang term for a bodily part as well, which is okay. But I just thought, nope, I won't put that on my piece. I'll stick with chooks and la poulet. There's a very famous French region that's famous for their chooks, and I'm trying to remember it because when we used to travel in France, and often we'd be travelling down from Paris and heading down through France, you'd see these big signs that had the either the region or the town, and big chooks pictured on it, and it's Bressay. So I was contemplating putting that on here, but then I had another idea for what I wanted to do on this piece. So I'll just finish off the S. When you're doing more narrow bits, you don't have to do the split stitch. You can just do single stitches. I just did a single one down there. And certainly doing the E's, I find that you just need a single stitch rather than a split stitch for the little tight turn of the E. And likewise the S's, sometimes I'll use just a regular stitch, back stitch, I guess. Oops. Just checking you can still see, which I think you can. So lovely to be giving extra life to this piece and making a really personalised piece for my mum, because my whole blanket, they are all pieces that all have references to people or to myself or just to family. It's become a real family of all sides piece. So there we go, La Poulet. I'm going down to see my girls, Mum visiting her chooks. So I might use this last bit of thread that I've got left over. I'll just tie it off. And as you can see on the back, it's very little stitches, just with the slightly longer stitches where I'm moving between letters. So what I had started doing, which we can finish now, was just stitching around the hen, just to put my own little stitches into the design as well. I think it's just nice to layer the history of someone else's handmade piece and then put your own touches on. So I'm just doing a little running stitch around the outline. It's amazing how one word, we're already at the 19-minute mark. I mean, I know I was chatting at the start a bit, but I might have to come back to those other pieces in a second video. I guess I can always make the videos today and then set them up, schedule them up to play on other days. Because I'm still doing my stitch along videos. So I don't want to pop too many videos up each day. One stitch along and one other is more than enough. And many days it is just the stitch along, but I do have a lot that I want to get stitched into this Roxy piece. Not that I think I'll stop at the conclusion of the formal project. I think I'll be still adding things on because I've got lots of things in this sort of colour scheme of the burgundy and greens and browns and golds that would be lovely to include. And there's plenty of room on the blanket. At the moment I'm planning to cover the bottom half, but I may even end up covering the top. If I do the top though, I probably won't use the things that are a bit more dimensional, like the buckles and things, because that would probably have to hang down over the upstairs couch that doesn't really get sat on anyway, but I wouldn't want to have something that's not comfortable to sit on there. Or I might use it somewhere else. As in hang the blanket somewhere else. It will definitely be on display somewhere. Could actually hang. We've got a huge area as we go down the stairs, down from a tall upper window, so it could actually hang down that wall. That's a possibility. We'd have to probably get some sort of hanging bar or something put up for it. Got my 52 flags hanging in the stairwell, sort of suspended across beautifully. And I love looking at them every day. Travis is funny. Sometimes he gives them a little bop with his nose. He knows he's not allowed to eat them. But sometimes when he's going down the stairs, there's some that hang sort of a bit lower down along one of the walls, and he gives them a little bop on the balustrade with his nose. I'm just outlining this piece. I imagine this was just originally, because it looks like it's a single piece of fabric, even though it looks like the rooster's appliqued on. But I think it was a little square design, and then they've stitched that onto because there's a very fine little running stitch around the outside of this square of fabric. So it's a nice little idea as well, and it's just got that, that little bit of padding. It's got some, and that just gives it that lovely little puffy dimensional effect. So Alex will be eager to get his procedure done tomorrow and hopefully get released from hospital, although I think his cardiologist has said they may keep him in a few days after it, but I think he's had enough of the being in hospital bit. He's definitely bored. Max and Ellie are doing a wine festival near to where the hospital is, and so they're going to pop in this afternoon after the festival is done. Max is a winemaker. So he's trying his best in quite a tough market to get his stock out there. Supplies quite a few restaurants, but they tend to want to run a very hard bargain with their suppliers, so it's not that profitable. And his wines are really high quality, sort of low production runs, as in like not making masses and masses. So it's specialty wine, beautiful flavours. Not that I can drink wine, but I can sometimes have a tiny little taste with some water without having the sulfite reaction. So they're doing a lot of markets now and festivals and things where he can sell direct to people. And that way they can come and do a tasting and, yeah, see how good the wines are. So I think I'm going to have just enough thread, which makes me happy. So I only need to go up to the head here. Perfect. Just get that a little tie off. Oops, didn't actually manage to catch a fabric properly. There we go. But yeah, I do like the little thread that's now intertwined in my own stitchery. I wonder if anyone would ever look at it and know that it was the makers of, it was 2 hands that made it, or possibly more even, could have been. I guess someone else could have made the square and then someone else turned it into the pot mitt, who knows. So that will be that piece there. But what I am thinking is I've got this beautiful little Suffolk puff that had a little random bit of thread. Isn't that design gorgeous? Little swirls. So I was thinking of making like a little, you know, when you go to the rural shows, the agricultural shows, and they have like award-winning prizes. And so I've got this lovely ribbon as well in a burgundy. And I was thinking I might make it like a little winning poulet. Not that Mum ever entered her chooks in the show, but they were special to her, so I think it's a nice reference to give it a little prize. So I'd probably chop it up like that, I think, unless I want to do 2. Can't remember how the ribbons usually look. Do they look more? Actually, I think they look more like that, don't they? So I might cut it off about there. And then let's replicate that down this end. Oops. Just want to get a clean cut in the middle. There we go. I think the ribbon, I think that's the front of the ribbon, but I don't think it'll be a problem. I mean, I can still try and I could do it that way actually. I don't think it's a problem though if one's slightly different shading than the other. Yeah, I think that will be cute. And then I'm thinking I need a button. So let's grab out my various trimmy bits and buttony bits. Let's have a look. That would be too big. Got a nice wooden one. It goes quite nicely with keep that one out as well. It's the wooden one. Good thing is about the Suffolk puffs is you can actually put a shank button inside and it will just sort of hold it nicely as well. Probably too ornate for that one. Another shank button. It's a bit fancier, isn't it? Let's just see if there's any others. This one doesn't have any shank, but I'm assuming you just stitch into the back of it. Now, what have I done with my needle? Christine, you're always doing this. Where did you put your needle? I'm sure you're all saying your needle is there or here or somewhere else. Ah, there it is over here. You probably couldn't see it. So I assume with this you just stitch into the back. Oh yeah, so you just stitch in like that. It's nice because it brings in the sort of the green element. Or there's that one, or that one, or that one, or, because you know me, I love looking through my buttons. That's rather sweet too. It's just a goldy colour. That one's quite lovely as well. Oops. Nope, not that one. That would be too big. What about this one? It's got lovely little specks. I don't know if you can see, it's very, very old. It probably would be too big, wouldn't it, for the centre? It would just snap, that would overpower it. It's a nice little wooden one. Okay, let's call it quits on picking out buttons. Let's now select which one we want. Okay, let's put it in situ. Don't know which way, that probably does go up that way. So it's okay, but I don't think so. That one, no, I don't think so, just because the ribbon's a little bit brighter. So I think no to those. It's a nice brown. That could work. I do like how that's got a little bit of shine in it. It's got a bit of that green, so that's in the short list. That's nice because it sort of picks up the goldy colours in the golden brown writing. Yeah, so that one's shortlisted alongside that one. That one's too big, I think. Out of these two, I think I prefer this one. It's just got a little bit more pop to it. Yeah, not that one. I think I prefer this gold. It's a bit better of a gold. I think, let's put these buttons back in their box and the beads. So, down to two. That one or that one. I think that's too big, so I'm going to go with this one because it leaves the nice Suffolk puff showing. So let's start by, are we happy with that, where that's going to be? I might just fray the edges a little more of the piece, just so I kind of know where my edges are. So I just like to do that with these pieces that I'm going to be adding on with raw edges. I just like to get a nice scruffled edge before we anchor it down. Just actually use my needle. I think because the fluff is down there, I think that's why it's not really. Just take a bit more of the fluff. I might use my bigger needle as well. So just pulling out some threads just to get that nice frayed edge happening. These might not want to be framed. Maybe they use some sort of adhesive when they, or maybe this was actually the selvage edge. hold its edge anyway. I don't think it's going to sort of unravel itself because they seem to be holding quite securely in place. Probably get a few out here though. Definitely a bit of effort to get them out. Possibly they are, yeah, stitched in place with these little stitches that were running up the piece. There we go. Okay, now we've got fluff everywhere. Get my roller in a moment and pick up any residual fluff. My needle back in. Okay. Eventually I'll give that an iron. In fact, my iron's on, I think, so I'll just quickly pop up and give that a quick iron. Just giving that a quick iron there. Probably didn't fully flatten it. It's going to take a moment to warm up, but that's okay. We will keep going. So I'll just grab a regular cotton, just a regular vintage sewing cotton, and we will stitch our piece down. So I'll start with my prize winning ribbon. So I probably want that to go about there, I think. So I'll just come through from the back. I would love if someone was watching and said, oh, that's the pot mitt my granny had, or something. How amazing would that be? Someone seeing their family's handiwork go on and have a new life in another family's project or piece. So I'll just put some stitches around the centre. Because it's a brown patterned fabric, I don't have to worry too much about the stitches. You won't really be able to see them. They'll just look like the swirl in the design. Okay, and then we can add our little... It's nice with this piece, I don't have to worry, at least on this bottom section, about having bits that stick out. So I can be quite dimensional. Use all my treasures. Well, not all of them. Even the blanket won't be big enough for all my treasures, but I can use a good number. Let's come through a few more times. It does get harder once you've put the first stitches in, just to get the needle angled to go through the shank. Just do one more stitch, I think. Pop up on this side and then take it down through the shank and out. one more knot to make sure it holds securely. And there we go, our prize-winning little poulet. And then I've got this braid. I've got a few bits of braid that I grabbed out because I might use them on this or one of the other pieces. They're just little small sections, but I quite like the look of this one because it reminds me a bit of the tail of the bird. So when I add it onto the piece, I might stitch that one down that side, I think, and have it coming, adding a bit of regalness, I think, to it. So I probably won't do that now, but I will put a pin in place to hold that there, so I remember. Pin there, and that will be nice because I'm trying to sort of have things extend out. And then I was thinking I might use a bit of this. Let me put my pin away, my needle away again. I'm thinking I might use a bit of this fabric, which I quite like. It's a nice one, and I might just have it, it's got some nice echoes of that, and I might just have a section of that down below. I've also got this little, can you see that? This little, they were from a patchwork style fabric. There was this square and this square, and I've just attached them together. But I thought I can either use that here or use it sort of somewhere else in one of my other designs. So I'll keep that. Oh, sorry, just bumped the camera. But yeah, I thought this could be nice underneath. So I might just take a strip of that for now and then work out how I use that. This one aside. It's another one I can say, another fabric incorporated into the piece. Oh, that's this side is obviously not a straight tear, so I might try and do another tear down here. Okay, so that will be as much as we can use there. And I'll probably keep this piece and make a Suffolk puff out of it. So I'll put it in my little Suffolk puff drawer up here. To be used. Capture the threads. Hopefully that will still be a fine piece to use. Yep. At least it's a rectangle now. Isn't it funny when you have fabrics and you think you've got a straight edge on them, but they've actually cut it on a notch on the grain of the fabric. So yeah, that will be that piece to go on. So again, I'll just pin this on, I think. So I remember that this is with it. And yeah, I'll put this one with it as well, actually. And whether I put it directly with it or elsewhere on the piece. So that's that one. Now we've still got, I think we've probably still got another 15 minutes. So what I might do, I might come, I'll show you. What I'll do is I'll show you what I'm thinking for the other pieces, and then I will do some videos on them. And yeah, that way you can come back. So this one, I was certain in my mind that I had added it into my Roxy Journal of Stitchery, the Down the Garden Path piece, because at one stage I had it out and I was contemplating adding it in. But it turns out I hadn't, and even though I've got those up, in my brain it just hadn't twigged that I still had this, and I was cleaning out some bags. I had, I was actually looking for some threads, and I remembered I'd packed some things in this particular little pouch, and I found all the threads that went with it, and then this was folded up in the bottom. So not only have I got all the nice coloured threads that go with it. Oh, I've just noticed I put my other phone down in that container. I've got all the threads, but then I also found this lovely piece. Now this was a piece that I found in the op shop in Bright that was half stitched, that I continued to stitch, and then added all this beautiful favourite fabrics around it. It's got my burgundy bonheur pieces, which is what the whole Roxy piece is called, and it's the perfect piece. In the previous video I was talking about I wanted to create a bee themed piece for my dad, and so it's the perfect bee themed piece because Dad was a beekeeper when we were growing up. He eventually got allergic to bees, but in my these are the pieces I'm going to use for Mum for her garden themed bit of this. But yeah, I've got some other lovely little bee related paraphernalia, including a little button bee. Having a look what else I've got in here. I think that's, yeah, that's what I've, oh no, and another little beehive which has a blue around it, but I'll probably yeah, take the blue border off and use that as well. So this will become a little piece for Dad, but what I want to finish doing is doing the sort of stitching in to the piece, which I think I'll probably do before I stitch it onto the blanket. I'll have a look. If I think that I'll be able to position it somewhere where it won't be too hard, but otherwise I'll come back and work on it here with you, and then I'll get it onto the blanket with further stitches after that. But I thought we can just do some further fun stitching. So that will be the piece for Dad. So I'll just put these extra bits. Yeah, this is a lovely little honeycomb fabric. And then Rawson's beehive. So yeah, I just think that's going to be fantastic. I've also got this piece that that had fallen off the desk and I'd found. Don't know where that will belong yet. And then yeah, I had a whole lot of other goodies beehive projects. So I found a whole lot of beads and more threads. Including some of the beautiful vintage sequined mesh that I found in a Polpunka op shop. And there's some other lovely little beaded bits, very old, but lovely little pieces. And there's a little brown piece here as well. So I would like to, probably not the blues and probably not the pure whites, but I would like to use incorporate these little sequin pieces somehow, because they are very vintage, very antique. So I will keep those aside as well. So we'll come back, and if you'd like to see me do some work on that, there'll be another video for that. And then I've also got this lovely sampler piece. I'll just slide it down so hopefully you can see most of it. Which I've just backed onto a piece of lovely fabric that reminded me a bit of like a wallpaper or something, a retro wallpaper. So I thought, oh, isn't this a lovely little, yeah, sampler style? And then I was thinking I would add some of my own little stitches, like some little further crosses in the middle of this. I was wondering if I do somehow pick out the initials of my name or something on it. Or maybe just put some other little stitches along or around the border, for example, just to add some actual stitchery to the Stitchery sampler. So that's something else we can do as well. I've then got this piece, which I think I'd shown in a previous video, that came off a sample of fabric from the reverse art truck, but I thought creating would be really wonderful to add to my piece, so I'll stitch that in as well. And then I've got these little monogram, which goes well with the earlier prompt of monogram, but also with this letters one, another little sampler that I'll add to my piece, and another little monograms one. And then to near my piece where I have the sort of the vineyards and the Italian scene and the Corsica scene, I thought I'd add this little Italian sketchbook fabric, which I've just turned into a little booklet. Because one of the things I used to love to do when we travelled around the world was take a little sketchbook with me and draw little pictures. Not that I'm a particularly good drawer, but also write little stories and keep a bit of a journal. So it had Italian sketchbook, slightly sort of, it was on the selvage, but not fully there. But I thought I'd just turn it into my own little Italian sketchbook with this lovely image of the rolling Tuscan hills. So I thought that was a bit of fun. It's just bound together like a book. I think I've still got to finish doing my stitches along this edge, and probably I'll put just a stitching down there. So that will get added to the piece just as a little book. I might even put a little button closure on that. And then, as I mentioned, there's another piece I want to do with a piece of French writing a little French quote in it, and I'm just looking for where my fabric has gone for that one. So I want to use this bird fabric, and I'll probably put the quote somewhere down here, and I want to stitch into the birds as well, so that will be another piece that I do as part of this prompt. And then I've got a whole lot of other little birdie related things, and I want to make a little ort's nest with my threads as well, because I always like adding a bird's nest to my pieces. So lots to do. Stay tuned for the next installment. We'll work on the beehive piece next. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.